Hello, hello. What's going on today, YouTube? To those of you who have already tuned in, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys for tuning in so early to the stream. We are gonna be continuing what we were working on the previous day, Wednesday, and that is the Neurosama clone. So I haven't progressed any further from the previous stream, so nothing too crazy different. But today we're going to be focusing on the server and then the text-to-speech portion. So yeah, follow me in my journey as we go to do this. Hey, Johnny AP Beats, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you just got caught up on the objective of today's stream. Well, we will be working mainly on the project. But if anything interesting pops up for you guys that you want me to take a look at, I can also, get a little sidetracked too. I don't mind getting sidetracked. But let's see. First things first. We let's just recap. On Wednesday, we got the text-to-speech part of this working. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see that in the terminal down below here, we are going to get an inference output or a audio generated out of here, and then we'll be able to listen to it. So right now it's loading the models, and then once it finishes loading, it will do a text-to-speech generation. So let's just wait for that to finish up, and we'll play the audio output of that. I'm like, man, it's taking a little bit of time to get going. All right, there it is. There she is. Alrighty, any day now. It's taken so long for it to load. Still taking so long to load. What is happening here? I don't know. Oh, here it is. Okay, maybe just downloading some of the models. That's why. Okay, so generation is done. Output.wave is where it's saved, and here it is.
Hello, how are you?
So very simple, very fast. We're gonna be using this for the text-to-speech. And Johnny, do you have any? Do you know any speech-to-text solutions? Kind of like a transcription, I would assume. I think there are some plugins for like Whisper that you should be able to use. So look around for that. That is what you call automatic speech recognition, which is an ASR system. So yeah, you'd have to be able to get that into there. Well, that is going to be the hard part now. So I don't have a solution for that. You'll have to see if anyone else has come up with a Whisper node. I'm sure there's an extension out there. There has to be. Like, there's a Comfy UI node for like everything I heard. So maybe somewhere on the internet. But I too am unfamiliar with integrating that into Comfy. Okay, cool. So we've got our text-to-speech working, a rudimentary text-to-speech working. And so the other day we went over kind of like a project requirements list. I actually think like what I should do here is turn this into kind of like a checkbox area to do. So if I go like this, if I go like that, and then, oops. And then I go like this. I think I can replace all of these with like, empty checkboxes, maybe. All right, let's take a look at this. All right, it's gonna be like that. Let's give it a space. Should be like I swear that this is a a check box. Let me look this up real quick. Should be able to do checkboxes and markdown. Checkbox, markdown, GitHub. Okay, yeah. For whatever reason, the checkbox doesn't want to work inside of the the cursor integration, but it should work inside of GitHub, so that is okay. We can live with that. So we'll just go down here, replace, add a space, replace, place. Okay, cool. So this will allow me to check things off as I go. Now text to speech. We're gonna say that this must-have is completed, but we're gonna also now add an additional part, which is integrate with server. And we'll put this as a general, I'll say integrate module with server. I'll say we'll put this as a general thing for all of these. Okay, and so now we're gonna dive into a little bit of unknown territory. I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it, so we're gonna use the LLMs to do that. And that's because I haven't worked with FastAPI or anything like that, but we want to get everything up and running on some type of server so that we can just make requests, and I think that should help to modularize the code or make it just easier to pass data back and forth between things instead of having just one single gigantic Python script. So we'll go ahead and ask Claude Code here to get us boot started on that. I do have some like Claude instructions from other repositories that I'm going to use. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and cp dmo speech Claude and then import that into this Neuro clone repo. So now we've got our Claude markdown. This kind of just tells Claude what to do. And then we'll say using the guidelines in Claude MD. Need a little boot start, or need a little starting point for for creating a server inside controller.py. Inside, we'll say source that we can make requests to from other modules in the source folder. I am unfamiliar with building these things, but I'd like to use FastAPI and get something up and running for this. First thing that I'd like to accomplish is a simple request from the working TTS module to controller. The pathing I'd like is to, I don't know, let's say call TTS.py from controller.py and then handle post gets that from it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and throw that in there, see what Claude gives us. And Lazarus, thank you for tuning in. I did switch to Claude, so I think Claude Code is fantastic, especially for understanding the project you're working on. I use it a lot to get up and going with new technologies I'm unfamiliar with. So currently, right now, that's what I'm doing. I want to work with FastAPI to create a server for this project. And I looked around and I saw that you could use FastAPI for this. So I'm going to see how the integration works for that. And just kind of get familiar with this to see if we can do this as I envision. So yeah, I did move over to Claude, but whatever comes out, whatever's better is what I switch to. Before it used to be OpenAI, but OpenAI, the models really took a hit after 03 after 04 mini. Like they weren't completing anything. It was like telling you to finish your own code, and that's great and all, but there are some parts where I was fighting with it more than working with it, and I was just not having a good time with that. So well, that's a big boy, right? What did it do in here? Have I tried a local model? Yeah, for some of these tasks I've used like DeepSeek, and all of that fun stuff. It's cool that you can do it locally. You can do it locally, but it's just gonna take longer. It's not as efficient, and sometimes the quality isn't as good. So you're kind of getting less things done in the same amount of time. So I generally stray away from local models unless I absolutely need them for something. I know they're getting better and better, but with the amount of resources that I have to run local models, it just doesn't make sense for me to run them if I want to get things done in a reasonable amount of time. I know there's a new Quen model that just got released, Quen Coder 3, but that's like a 400 billion parameter model. And I would totally love to do everything locally. Don't get me wrong, but resources, resources are a issue. What's up, Andre Lewis? Thank you for tuning in. Very much appreciate it. Just a synopsis. We are continuing what I was working on Wednesday, which was the Neurosama clone. So yeah, I am just trying to get myself familiar with some FastAPI stuff and to figure out how to kind of do that. Okay. Alright, so let me break this down to myself to see kind of how this works. Test server runs test server, localhost, testing server held, response. 0L. Okay, when this runs, it launches the app, which the app is this. Initialize the TTS model on. Okay. So I think I kind of understand a little bit on how this works. Okay. All right. I need you to help me understand some things and how to integrate it myself. What exactly did you do inside of controller to allow the test server to work with it? Okay, so now we got these decorators here. Status generate. I think this should be something like TTS generate if we're gonna go with it. TTS response. I don't know why we need request and response models. Oh, okay, no, I understand, yeah. Base model is something else. Alright. Let's check out the breakdown. HTTP API inference, the best endpoints. HTTP requests to these endpoints using request library. Control define TTS request field. Alright, I'm gonna read these silently, so okay. Let me cd into neuroclone. I want to test it a little more just to grasp a firmer understanding of how this works. So we are going to run uv run source controller. So I'm gonna run this here, which should launch a server, right? And then, okay, so this is loading. Okay. Right. Let's see, I'm on WSL2. How would I make a request from the terminal? Curl to make requests from the terminal. All right, let's try that. Let's split this. Curl. This is local. Check the status is running. Okay, cool. Gives back a JSON file. All right, let's copy this. Throw this in here. Okay, returns it back as a bunch of audio bytes. Nice. Okay. I believe this is some other stuff. Okay, so I don't know what this part of it did, but I'd want to probably handle that inside of the code. Let's see.
Hello world. Hello world.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we can just make these calls to it by just doing / in whatever the name is. So that's nice. That's really nice. Okay, so I want to change a few things. Then I think we can kind of internalize this a little bit more. So the load. Let's see. Okay, so I'm thinking about this in my head, which is why I went silent. So right now it's doing the loading and everything inside of the controller, which isn't how it's supposed to be done. It's gonna need to be done inside of each module on its own, so that I can separate these things out. So I think I need to change some of these things. Yeah, TTS response model shouldn't be generating it like this. So we're gonna ask how we can separate these things. Cool. You can see that generation is working, but I don't like the structure. I could probably structure it a little bit better with my prompts inside of Claude, but we're just gonna go with it like this. Structure of it at the current moment. I already have a TTS, but I guess we should finish building the generation. Generate TTS here. So yeah, for generation we need these parameters. Is Claude Code expensive compared to Cursor? Well, it's 20 bucks a month, and with that you get a decent amount of interaction with Claude Code every day. So they price it at about the same. Okay, yeah, we don't want to, I don't think we want to load it in here. We probably want to make this like a class, right? Okay, let me describe my inner workings, my inner brain processes to Claude, and it'll help me out with this. So I already have a TTS.py module inside of source, but I'm trying to wrap my head around things at the moment. I'd like to have load and generate inside of TTS. Inside of TTS.py, but load TTS model returns back the whole class, which doesn't feel right to me. Hold on. Before we continue, look at the structure of source. My intention is to launch each module as its own local API on its own port to call to. And each will host, and each port will host its own models for separation. Is my thought process in alignment with common practices and implementations of APIs? Alright, so I just need to clarify some things with how I'm thinking about it in my brain versus maybe what's common structuring or common practices, so that I'm not going down a rabbit hole of something that's incorrect. Have I seen Open LLM VTuber project open source and given insight into your own implementation? I have heard of it. I think I do remember checking it out. and should probably take a little bit of I could probably use a little bit of reference and some code from it. However, the thing is it is such a large project. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on a different browser. It is such a large project that it is a little bit already, I mean, it's a little bit beyond, yeah, it's a little bit beyond what I would want to like kind of break down, and like take references from. Now I should probably play around with it. It looks like they've got some of the same kind of stuff going on, like servers and all of that. So I should probably take a look at it. But yeah, I don't want to go too deep into something that I don't yet understand, just because it's a lot of mental load. If I can kind of build something similar, but taking from stuff that already works is a great way of doing things. So if I reach a wall, and I'm struggling with any of the implementation, I will definitely leech off of some of their project. Okay. Okay, so, all right, I'm being reaffirmed by Claude. All right. Server decomposition. All right, let me just verify that's actually a term. Okay, I think it looks like a term on a Google search. Isolation, okay, resource, development, deployment. Okay. Turn the whole class feels heavy, better pattern, singleton pattern, load once we use instance. Load unstilled. Okay, so what we could do here is comment this out. They'll pass in here. I think we could run our own UVcorn into TTS. Alrighty, let's do a little bit of similar importing here. Slap these in there. Let's say TTS is 8001. And then our app is gonna be why lifespan? What does lifespan? A lifespan context function which can be used to perform startup and shutdown tasks on startup and on shutdown handlers. Okay, lifespan. Okay, I guess I should do we'll do a TTS model here. We'll copy this. Okay, the controller probably doesn't need to be a FastAPI thingy either. We could just say, let's go with main. Let's do definition main. Let's do like a print menu. Say enter 1 to generate TTS. Input should I do okay, I guess we can pretty much everything that was done inside of controller is what I want in here, so we want to throw request is of class request. Okay, so now all of these can be done. Okay. And then yeah, TTS model dot try. Where's my accept that? Why is this yellow and the other one isn't? Oh no, okay, that's fine. Okay, I guess we can go like this. We're just gonna say load models. Load. Why is this camel case? Camel case, I think. Load TTS response. No, trust me, brother. This is above my skill level too. I find it's kind of like an interesting little puzzle to figure out. And as you start to put more pieces of the puzzle together, you start to understand a little bit more of the big picture. And that is, and then eventually, you'll be able to understand all of what you're doing, hopefully. And so that's, that's what I'm doing here, because I don't have any experience designing these types of things, but I want to know and I want to learn. So that's what I think is fantastic about these AI tools, is that you can work with them to understand these things better. Okay, success message. Okay, we could do what they're doing. We do try TTS model. What's up, Maximiliano? Thank you for tuning in. I was a little late to the time that I was starting the other days, but late is better than never. So currently just working through making like the server part of this for the TTS area, and just learning how to do all the API stuff that I want to be able to do for it locally. So yeah, never too late. Even if you watch this as a VOD, I very much appreciate that too. I don't know why I would need a wait, so we're not going to put that in there. So I don't know why we need it. Oh, it doesn't seem like I even need to... I don't even think I need to post this because we are calling it from something in here. No, all good. That's me too. Me too, me too. Alright, TTS model. Okay, we are gonna do global TTS model. And then we can remove those. I mean, we don't need to return anything there, but we will return back the error. Okay. I need it. Okay, we can run it there. Kokoro. Well, I actually haven't used Kokoro. For this, we're actually using DMO speech too. Kokoro is just the reference audio that I'm using. So, it's kind of just yeah, it's kind of just a reference audio right now. So using DMO speech too, but Kokoro is pretty fast. It sounds really good. So I can see there's a lot of people who like Kokoro. So, I'm saying it's just a really solid text-to-speech solution out there. Sounds really good, for being very fast and such a small, yeah, fast and a small model. So. Okay, all right, let's get to another point. I'm kind of restructuring it myself, and the new code reflects that. Controller, I don't think should really have any server initialization of it. Think of it as a GUI that will eventually be able to launch and close different modules like TTS.py and lm.py, etc. Given that, how might you reformat controller.py to work with what we have in TTS.py right now? Okay, I'll let Claude cook. I want to see the changes. All right, so all this stuff gone. Service manager. Okay, so the entry point. Where's our entry point? Main. Okay. Option start TTS, stop, generate. Okay. Client. Okay. Here is our client, API client, SM, service manager, SM. All right. It makes a service manager and then an API client. Okay. Passes in service manager to API client. Isn't I was like, isn't this kind of like a super class? Super class Python. I don't know. Let me clarify this real quick. I just want to ask. It looks like you're creating SM and API client. Just had a question, and that is about superclassing. I think my understanding of superclass is shallow, but is it usable in this case, or is the way that you did it better? For use case composition, and I showed inheritance, class controller, service manager. I meant between API client and service manager. Oh, okay. Has its own service manager. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's go back with your original implementation then. It's because API client is not a service manager, and it is using it as service manager, so we should keep it separate. I think that's kind of how I understand that. Ah, shoot, I didn't read it. Oops. Okay, whatever. Let me read it now. Every clean service orchestrator, service manager. All right, API. Okay, so this is going to be used when I'm just calling the API. Okay, and then service manager is going to be used to do all of these servicing stuff. Alrighty. Alright, so let's try this out. Let's go. Should be able to just do UV run source controller. Gonna start the TTS service. Alrighty. Well, that isn't a helpful error message. Maybe we just need to wait a little longer. We'll wait 20 seconds. I don't have anything else running on the port. I think it's just a timing issue right now. It's like it's a static timer here that's timing it. I think that is an issue. Because if I go to TTS and just try to launch it myself, let me see if I run into any errors. Oh no, that was pretty quick. That was pretty quick itself. I think it's running into not actually just being able to find. It's not being able to find the script, I think. I might have to say like UV run, because we're using UV for this, so it used Python. It's failing to launch. If I service, if I launch TTS itself, launch is fine. Any additional debugging we can get here as to why it's not launching. Alrighty. So, logging is always very important so that we can see what's going on. So we're going to try to get some more logging into here. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Set command being run, working directory path, process PID. Okay, whether the file exists, detail check. Path problems, missing dependency, port binding, Python path. Okay, let's run with that. Let's do one. Okay, service process still running, but not responsive on port there. Okay, so we have this here. Loading models. Okay, that's my assumption, is the loading is taking a little too long. I think that's a lot it's adding. Let's go into tts.py. Can we make it not block the launch of the service? But loads the models async. Alright, let's take a look at this. Async IO, threading. Why do I feel like there's like a lot of bloat with that? Seems unnecessarily convoluted, complex. I don't know what I'll use. Convoluted. Is there not a simpler way to do it with less lines? Huh. Load models on demand. I also don't like that. Alright, let me think through this a little bit. What is the usage? Okay, let me ask, why do we need lifespan? Span in FastAPI. Why do we need the lifespan in FastAPI? Okay, you don't need lifespan for this use case. Lifespan is only useful when you need setup teardown that must happen before resource cleanup. I mean, I don't want lazy loading either. As I do want it to set up first before. Alrighty. Okay. Okay, so if you're watching and wondering why I'm just denying a bunch of Claude Code code, usually when I accept code from AI, I seek to understand if the code that I'm accepting is following the vision that I have in my head. If it's not following the image that I have in my head, I question it, um, and try to make it work in how I see it. And if there's a better way of doing it, you will usually try to ask the AI if there's a better way of doing it to see if it, well, to see if I think it's a better way of doing it. So ultimately, the design decisions that are being made is something that I understand and grasp. I do this so that it doesn't become a project that is way beyond something I understand and can imagine in my head. Because if I can't imagine what's going on in some of the code, then it makes working on the project kind of hellish. So. And even if I mean, I guess even if the things that are being suggested by Claude might be better practice or something like that, I'll still question it. Even like right now, I don't really have any API designing experience or anything like that, but I feel like I still have a general understanding on how microservices work, and so you know, I don't want to completely accept it blind just because the AI knows more than me. It's kind of a weird thing. Oh, and my mouse just died on me. Let me plug it in. Let's try that out now. Alright. Is it killing the process? Start. TTS is already running. Okay. Is already service. Okay. Let's generate audio. Testing call. That was kind of strange. Yeah, that's happening way too fast. Is starting. Process pop open. Okay. Copy value. Port. Debug. Set this to debug. Alrighty. Okay, we've got some stuff going on in here that is, we're gonna chuck into Claude Code to see what's going on here. So, not seemingly able to get it to generate or make a successful audio request. We get this in the terminal. The application is running on 8003. Strange. This suggests the FastAPI server is running but doesn't have a root endpoint defined. Okay, health check. Now restart your TTS servers and okay. Okay, nice. There's audio. TTS request failed 500. Let's look up 500. Alrighty, let's throw this in here. Okay, error detail, just more logging. Coroutine object has no attribute generate. Okay. Already. Right. So right now we're just plug and chugging into Claude, just to to be able to understand actually what the errors we're getting here are. If I don't do this, then I'll just be reading code that I don't fully understand. Well, hello nephews. I guess I'll respond to the request. Hello Pedro and Angel. Glad to see that your uncle is tuning into my stream. I very much appreciate it. So, yeah. Give another shout out to Pedro and Angel from across the world. Hopefully things are going well. And yeah. Probably nothing too interesting going on screen here. Just a little bit of programming and coding. But other than that, glad to have you guys with me. This means the low TTS function is easy. I see the issues. Async, but doesn't need to be. Let's fix this. Okie dokie. Okay. What's the reason for that fix? Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I could make their day, and you know, it's always a interesting thing that it's so accessible nowadays that we can tune into somebody way across the world, talk to them as if they're right next to us, and get a response. So, the beauty of the internet and technology. Okay, the issue was with the async keyword, but didn't do any async operations. You call it async without await. Python returns a coroutine object instead of executing the function. It failed because coroutines don't have it. Needs to await something inside the function. If there's no async operations, network calls, files, input, output with async libraries use. Okay, I gotcha. Well, we got it going here. Let's take a listen.
Testing audio.
Alrighty, cool. Nice. Let's throw this in here.
The function was creating a model synchronously anyway, so it didn't need to be async.
Okay, cool. Looks like we've got it going here. So, time to review some things. I think also that's pretty much right on time. I was gonna end the stream at 1 o'clock today, for me. So, it looks like we have this going so far. And yeah, it looks like we have this going, and we're able to make API calls to our text-to-speech module here. So I don't need, I'm gonna remove some of this stuff because it's kind of bloaty. Health check. Okay, so yeah, we've got our text-to-speech module here, which handles all of our text-to-speech, and then we are going to be calling everything from something I'm referring to as a controller. So we are able to start up the service with this service manager here, and depending on what we're trying to start, well, it can route correctly to text-to-speech at the current moment to do that. So it'll start that, and then we can use our API client to make calls to whatever we need. So in this case, we are making our call to generate underscore TTS, and we're gonna check to see if the process is running. And then it can make our generation with the payload that we want, and the payload are the arguments. And I don't think we have too many keyword arguments. Yeah, we're just using text. So at the current moment, no other additional arguments in here. And then post it with our payload, and then we wait for the response, and then yeah, we wait for the response, we get our results. I guess this is one way we can accept results back. So here we get it back, and then it decodes it and then saves it. So cool, we've got it, the TTS working here, and so that should be pretty much it for progress so far. I do want to keep a sheet of progress so that I can keep track of things that we're working on. So we're gonna call this progress.markdown, and we'll do it by dates. So today's date is 7/25/2025. Working on the server and or the controller and TTS modules. We're gonna say accomplished. Go with accomplished. Accomplished controller to launch and make requests to TTS server. TTS module as a server. We'll call service server to accept API requests and return text TTS back. Alright, controller to launch and make requests to TTS server. TTS module as a service server to accept API requests and return TTS back. We're gonna make a future goals or next steps is to I think the next step is going to be to move towards the other modules and to get those up and going. Refused. Okay. So, yeah, 4 status works. The objective of the next one is I think we're gonna get a ASR module as a service server, and then LM module as a service server. Okay, yeah, and then, well, pretty much the heavy part of it is just understanding all of the interactions between different modules as services and servers, and the actual implementation of each one of them, I think, will be the hardest, or the lengthiest. Not necessarily too hard. We'll take the longest time, so. We'll do ASR next time. We'll do LLM after that. We have TTS done. And then since we'll have a you know, what I'm calling a controller, we'll be able to make requests and get generations from each one of those from a centralized location, so that yeah. So that we don't have to go to a bunch of different modules or Python scripts in order to get them. What else? What else? But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we did today. Controller to launch, and then TTS module. Okay, but yeah, if you guys tuned in today, it was a little bit of a shorter live stream today, probably like an hour 40, but we'll probably be back at it maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, huh? And I don't think I have anything planned for activities for me tomorrow, so probably be streaming again on Saturday tomorrow with at what time I don't know, but that's the plan. So hope to see you guys all there. If you guys tuned into today's live stream, very much appreciate you guys sticking around with me, and to all the contributors in the chat, or to all those people that have conversated with me today, also very much appreciate it. But yeah, we'll be back at it tomorrow, Saturday. There is going to be a video coming out for the how to set up the DMO speech, so look out for that video as well to I guess learn how to get that text-to-speech system set up. But other than that, that's going to be it for today's live stream. Very much appreciate all of you guys tuning in to watch, and I'll catch you all later.